Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 157 with the N326 Duo. I'm your host, Sam Godsey, and with me today, as always, Tanner Dislin. Tanner, it's been a week and some change since our last episode, but how are you doing tonight, man?
Sam, I am doing well. I tell you what, I was a little scared, of course, the first weekend without football, with that being completely done and dusted, but it did not disappoint. It helps when you have number one versus number two on Saturday, and then you have a pretty awesome tournament going on over on ice right now, which is pretty interesting. And I guess some people did watch the NBA All-Star weekend.
Yeah,
I'm sure people out there did. Can't say we
some.
did, but that's how it goes. But yeah, it was a good weekend of sports.
Yeah. For first weekend past the Super Bowl, it wasn't too bad. But Tanner, we got a lot to talk about. You mentioned some hockey going on. We don't talk about it a lot, but we will this episode, NBA All-Star Weekend. And we're gonna do a little college basketball catch up for those who haven't been tuning in to college basketball since it's football season and a lot of overlap. But let's hop right into it on episode 157. Tanner, we're going to kick it off. As we always do, who is your winner of the episode?
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned it. I mentioned it. Let's just kick it off with the hockey tournament right now. So hockey brilliantly decided we're not going to do. We're going to do a weird kind of all-star break, and they're going to do this Four Nations tournament, which the Four Nations are the USA, Canada, Finland, and someone else who is it Sweden?
Finland, Sweden, Canada, and US.
Okay, it's Sweden. That's what I thought. So they were the Four Nations in the tournament, and on Saturday night, the U.S. played Canada, and it was an awesome game. Obviously, anytime USA and Canada get together in hockey, it's really the only thing Canada can hang with us in. So that's the only time we really get the border battle, because it's U.S. Mexico in soccer, U.S. Canada in hockey, where that rivalry comes out, and it was pretty awesome. It was in Quebec, I believe, in Montreal. The U.S. national anthem, of course, we know the Canada booed the U.S. national anthem when it was being played, and obviously there's some political reasons behind that we're not going to get into, but they booed the national anthem, and for the U.S. to come out, and I mean it's a good team. The U.S. is always good in hockey. Canada's always the best, and to come out as a team that's probably worse on the road up in Canada, and when you're getting booed, your national anthem is getting booed, to come out and win like that was pretty awesome. Yeah, the U.S. won 3-1. One was an empty netter at the end of the game. But Sam, hockey, when it matters, is some of the most fun watching you'll ever do.
Oh, yeah.
When you care and it matters, it is so awesome. Obviously we've had a few episodes during the Stanley Cup playoffs when the Rangers are in, and that can get pretty fun. Unfortunately, the Rangers have not been very good this year, so I haven't been as in tune into hockey. So watching this game was incredible. I mean, the minute the puck dropped, like three people dropped their gloves, started fighting. It was awesome. Clear bad blood, clear, each team really wanted to win this for their country. And yeah, the U.S. won, and that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely electric. I'm gonna butcher their last name. Chuck. Chuck. They're were two that like dropped gloves immediately.
The Bash Brothers.
The Bash Brothers is what they're being called. I mean, Freebird as their goal celebration is just absolutely electric, and you just absolutely overshadowed what is supposed to be NBA's biggest weekend with this matchup.
Absolutely stuffed them in a locker based on how people are talking about the All-Star festivities and the break, and yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. US got huge win. Is absolutely electric. Uh, for my winner, it seems to be the year of the cold ass white boys. We got Mac McClung won the dunk contest, but I'm going to talk about another cold ass white boy, and that of course is Iowa alum Cooper DeJean. Um, it's been a little while since the Super Bowl, but had to show love to our guy from Iowa. Got a massive pick six in the Super Bowl. Took it to the house on his birthday. And that was kind of the catalyst for the ass whooping by the Eagles. So shout out Cooper DeJean for that, man.
Yeah, dude, it was. I had this realization. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast or not, but it was against the Commanders, the NFC Championship game. I might have said it, but and it was when he made a really nice play. He broke up a pass, in the first quarter of that Commanders Eagles game when it was still close, and the entire stadium in Philly immediately started chanting the "Coop," and just the fact that on football's, I guess, second biggest stage because it was the conference championship, but when football is at its brightest, like in the NFL, they're chanting. I remember doing that at Kinnick. You've done it at Kinnick. I've done it at Kinnick. We've all done it at Kinnick. Yelling Coop. And the fact that that's, going on in football's biggest stage was pretty awesome. Then immediately it wore off because he plays for the Eagles. And I was like, but yeah, no, it was awesome. Cooper DeJean is so awesome. He's so athletic. He's so good. I love Cooper DeJean. Hate that he's an Eagle, but it's just, again, dude, another notch in the roster of Howie Roseman, how he drafts, and people who are first round, top 10 picks or first round grades fall to the Eagles somehow. They always do. And they always get him on good value, like Jalen Carter, who's supposed to be the first overall draft pick, fell to the Eagles like 10.
Yeah.
One of the best defenders in the league, one of the best defensive line players in the league.
Yeah.
DeJean, first round grade, fell to the second.
Absolutely insane, man. I mean, it's and like the stories coming out about his like performances in high school. Like his junior year of high school, he hit like 5'11. He played both ways in football. He had like 3,000 passing yards, 2,000 rushing yards, just absolutely insane stats. I mean, and then we've all seen his basketball highlight film.
He did it all.
Yeah, dude's absolutely a freak of nature, and what better to show out than for in the Super Bowl on your birthday. But Tanner, the Swifties, Taylor Swift, the whole Chiefs kingdom could have been a loser, but who is your loser of the episode?
Yeah, Sam, mine. I'm going to go a little more recent than that, Sam. On Saturday, Illinois retired Terrence Shannon Jr.'s number 0 jersey, which in and of itself, I think, is a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very good. He obviously is a very good basketball player. I'm going to leave it at that. I was surprised to see it was getting retired. I guess I'll just say that. Do your own research on that one. However, in his jersey retirement ceremony, the banner, it was upside down.
Yeah.
They just they took the curtain off the banner and it was literally upside down. And I have no words how on earth that happens.
It's impressive. We've done banner drops at my work, and 9 times out of 10, you have that banner up there for literal weeks before you actually drop it. So, I mean, someone screwed up massively.
It seems impossible to do. Like, obviously, we moved into a new studio somewhat recently.
Yeah.
Imagine if we just took this and we just hung it upside down. We were just like, oops.
Yeah.
But how does that happen?
It's impressive, no doubt.
There's literally no way that happened. Like, how? How? I do not understand.
Yeah, absolutely a big winner. We kind of mentioned loser. We kind of mentioned this being an absolute loser event. Of course, I'm going to talk about the All-Star Weekend.
Brutal.
Tanner, this was the most pathetic showing I've ever seen in the terms of All-Star Weekend. I'd say both of us are pretty big basketball fans, and we could.
Correct.
I don't know if you watch it, but I watch 0% of the All-Star Weekend.
I watched after the Alabama Auburn game finished. I think the only game, like really the only big game on was Syracuse UNC. It was at halftime, so I switched over to the All-Star festivities on Saturday night, and I think it was the skills competition maybe, and I saw it was right after the Spurs team decided to just like not attempt a shot, which is insane. So then they got DQ'd, and then I watched the next group, and it was like the most random pairing of players you'll ever see. And it was like, all right, now throw a pass into this circle. All right, now go make a three. And it was like the dumbest thing, dude. And then I watched maybe the first couple rounds of the 3-point contest. And like, that's okay. That's an okay watch, but like, it's just the same thing there's literally no, like, obviously we all have our problems with the dunk contest. That's fair. And I agree because it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, but at least year to year, it's different. The 3-point contest is literally the exact same thing. So like, you kind of know what you're getting. And then about halfway through that, I switched back to college basketball.
Yeah.
So I watched maybe 5% of it.
There you go.
If that.
There you go.
And then I watched 0% of the actual All-Star game.
Yeah.
0. None.
I didn't even know they switched up the actual format is like a tournament now with 4 separate teams, and it was a draft, but it's clearly because like all the foreign players, all the like young upcoming stars, and then like all the OGs were on different teams, but like even the celebrity game, Tanner, is becoming a joke. I mean,
it used to be fun.
So Kai Cenat, you know him.
I do.
Baron Davis.
Okay.
Okay.
Rome
Flynn. Rome Flynn? Anybody?
Rome Flynn?
Rome Flynn.
No idea who that is.
All-Star Celebrity MVP. Alicia Gray.
Yeah, totally know who that is.
Yep. Mickey Guyton.
Oh. No,
yeah.
Nope. No idea. Okay. So I know Kai Cenat. I know Baron Davis.
Yep. Mickey Guyton. Tucker Halpern.
Nope, no idea.
Noah Khan.
That name sounds familiar. If he could sit next to me right now, and I have no clue who he is.
Danny Ramirez.
No, not a clue.
Masai Russell.
Nope.
Pablo Schreiber.
Nope.
Dylan Wang.
Oh my, no.
Okay, so that's Team Barry Bonds.
I got 2. Team Barry Bonds.
Team Barry Bonds and 2 Chainz, of course.
What?
And then for Jerry Rice and Cobby Lane.
Okay, I do know who Cobby Lane is. I'm counting.
He was a coach.
Oh, and I guess the other coaches were
2 Chainz and Barry Bonds.
All right, I do know them, so I'm counting. I'm counting that. I got 5.
Matt Barnes.
Okay, yeah. 6.
Bailey.
Yep. Just Bailey.
I
have no idea who Bailey is.
Chris Brickley.
Okay, yeah, I do know Chris Brickley.
A.P. Dillon.
No idea.
Drewski.
Yeah, okay.
Walker Hayes.
He's a country music artist?
Yeah.
I'm counting that.
He sings Fancy Like.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Shelby McEwen.
Nope.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah, I do know Tio.
Shabuzi.
Yeah, Shabuzi.
Oliver Stark.
No idea.
And Kayla Thornton.
Yeah, nope.
That's
11, including the coaches.
That's bad.
That's not good.
That's not a celebrity game.
And who won?
Rome Flynn.
Yeah, and the MVP
is
Rome Flynn.
He is a let me see. I have it pulled up where they're from. Emmy winning actor. That's all it says.
Yeah, sure.
So that kicked it off, and then you mentioned the skills challenge. It was Team Cavs, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. Okay. Team Rooks, Zachary Rasasher.
Oh my!
averaging 11.4 points this season. You want to take a guess on who he plays for? I'm pretty sure he was a lottery pick.
The main Red Claws.
Nope. The Atlanta Hawks. Then his teammate was Alex Sarr. You mentioned the team Spurs, and then Draymond and Moses Moody for the Warriors. So and then the 3-point contest was Jalen Brunson, Darius Garland, Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Norman Powell, Cameron Johnson, Tyler Hero, Cade Cunningham. Didn't know he was a knockdown 3-point shooter, but Tyler Hero ended up winning that one. And then the slam dunk contest, Tanner. Matthias Buzelis.
No idea who that is.
Chicago Bulls guard, averaging 6.4 points. Andre Jackson Jr. Any guess on where he plays?
Andre Jackson Jr.
Yep. He's averaging 3.9 points.
The Bucks.
He is playing for the Bucks. Ball knower. Stephon Castle.
Oh yeah, he's on the Spurs.
There you go. And of course, Mac McClung for the Magic G League team. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'd like to let it be known that Stephon Castle, I know he's on the Spurs because I remember him being drafted out of UConn.
Yeah.
So I remember him from his college days. Really, that's why I know who he plays for. What was it, Andre
Jackson.
Andre Jackson. He's the UNC guy, right? I think he went to UNC.
Did he? Or
I might be wrong.
You're thinking of Josh. Is it Josh? I guess I could just look it up. He went to UConn.
UConn. Okay. Yeah, I'm stupid. Yeah. Okay.
That
was a lucky guess because I was thinking of the guy from UNC. I got lucky on that one. Yeah. And then Mac McClung, I only know because I remember him at Georgetown and Texas Tech, and then he's won the last two. So
Justin Jackson is who you're thinking of. Yep.
And he played for the Bucks, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
So I got lucky on that one.
Yeah, he did play for the Bucks in 2021.
So
yeah,
it's tough. It's really tough.
And then you have LeBron quitting 2 hours before the game starts. Just absolute
it's just, it's and like they have the commissioner who's like meeting with players, begging them to give a crap. Like that's just not good.
Yeah,
that's just not good at all.
So Tanner, how do you fix it?
I think it's pretty. There are two things you could do: the fun thing and the copycat thing. I think the thing that's more likely is the copycat thing. You just look at what hockey did and be like, you tell me in the league right now, like you probably can't do 4 nations like this. You could easily do a US versus world.
Yeah.
World would have Doncic,
Jokic,
Giannis,
Wemby,
like
Shea.
Like that would be really cool. Like I think that would be a fun concept. Now, I don't know if that'll get people to try.
Yeah.
But it's something different that you could try. Now, the thing that would absolutely do the engagement, black versus white. You got to have the white, the white team.
There you go.
You said it. You said the white boys are up. Luka,
Jokic.
Oh my! That sounds real quick.
Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler. Like they'd probably get smoked.
Matthijs Buzelis.
Alperen Şengün.
Hey.
But like you could do it.
You could
do it. So I don't know. That's bring up Cooper Flag.
There you go. Is there a chance they just get rid of it?
I think so.
I mean, the product is shit.
I don't know. I'm very curious financially what it does because obviously it costs a lot of money, but because of course they. Before we get into that, also really quick, they made everything so ugly.
Yeah.
The court, obviously, we have our whole problems with. Like me personally, I absolutely despise anything but a wood-colored court. And
for the most part, I'd agree.
Yeah, I guess there are a few ones.
Because I remember when it was in Charlotte, they did inside. they did the inside the 3-point line, um, light blue, but they made the paint wood color.
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't bad, but
And also I think it was like, an old court
yeah.
like the New Orleans
Mhm.
Hornets used to, like, if it's rooted in, history, or if it's a throwback, or it has something to do with the city. Like even when they did the honeycomb, like that's the
Yeah.
Hornets. But I don't where even was it this year?
San Francisco.
Okay, so San Francisco. Yeah, and they just did like half blue, or like the main
The
court was blue,
blue
and
and
inside the 3-point line was
it
yellow.
was
Like it
awful.
looked hideous. It looked absolutely hideous. And the jerseys were absolutely awful too. So they made everything look so freaking ugly. So that's another problem I have. But I'm very curious as to what the financial situation is like, because it costs a lot of money to, get the court in, the whole production costs money. I don't know how much money they get from, I'm sure TBS pays them a decent amount of money to, air the game. But like how much in sale, like how many people bought tickets? Like I'm very
Yeah.
curious as to what attendance was like, and kind of what financially what it was like for the league, because yeah, on the outside looking in, it looked like it was a pretty big failure. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's so dumb. Like it's such an unwatchable product, especially for like casual NBA fans. I feel like, I actually don't even think like the diehards are like, oh my God, it's All-Star weekend. But I know as a casual NBA fan, I definitely didn't tune in. But yeah,
That's the thing, is like I don't even know if I would consider us in general casual NBA fans. Like we're big basketball fans. When the product is good, we're big NBA. Like
yeah,
I like you and I have watched so many games of our teams that suck ass because the product was better, and we'd watch basketball because we want to watch
yeah,
basketball. But now it's just not. It's just something completely different. Both of our teams are good, and yet it's still not enough to get us
yeah,
to watch, which is crazy.
yeah. Like the Thunder are by far and away the best team right now. And I could tell you I have maybe watched a half a quarter, and that might be even. But that's
Half a quarter
also
of the one game they were on national
yeah.
TV.
So
Like, give me a break.
so someone actually um did the breakdown of the 3-hour All-Star game last night. So there were 42 minutes of actual basketball played in the 3-hour All-Star game. So intro was 30 minutes with ads, pregame talk 10 minutes. Team Kenny versus Chuck was 12 minutes. Mr. Beast challenge
Oh,
was 5 minutes. Game 2 was 16 minutes. Music performance was 6 minutes. Inside the NBA tribute was 9 minutes. Game 3 was 14 minutes. Post game 6 minutes. An analyst desk in game intro segments 22 minutes. Ads 80 minutes.
ooh.
So absolute, just get rid of it. Like I think that's honestly the best option. But yeah, it's definitely an issue going on with the NBA. But Tanner, you ready to move on? For any last thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know. I'm gonna exclude hockey out of this, because I think if they stick with this, I think we all agree this is clearly the best All-Star. Like, this rocks.
Yeah.
Is baseball the best All-Star?
I mean,
I guess it would have to be by default, right?
but I feel like that sport is hard to like.
You can't just like, yeah, it's not a physically taxing sport.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with that. That it's much like,
but yeah,
if you're there, you might as well hit. Kind of, if
yeah.
I'm there, I might as well, But yeah, dude, isn't that's crazy? That, like, I think, again, taking hockey out, because that's the weird one. But of those three, baseball is by far the least popular. I think it's
what Which is worse? So NFL.
I think the Pro Bowl's worse. Dude, the Pro Bowl is so bad.
Yeah.
I at least used to watch the NBA All Star stuff.
True.
Like the Pro Bowl is so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's got.
I agree. Yeah. But you ready to move on to some college basketball?
I think so.
Yeah, so we've kind of jumped into college basketball a little bit last episode. It's been an absolute awesome college basketball season. So if you're just tuning in, I do feel kind of bad for you. But Tanner, in your eyes, who are kind of the top dogs? Because for me, it's two teams. I think it's Duke and Auburn. I think those two have had some slip ups as of recently, but they have been week in, week out, two of the best. Would you agree with that? Do you have any others? What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely would agree with that. And I guess the new rankings come out today, and wow, yeah, Duke State at number 3. Interestingly enough, I guess they did have that loss to Clemson in there. But anyway, yes, I do agree with what you said. Auburn, I think it's as clear now as it's ever been. Obviously, they had that slip up at Florida, but you know, Florida right now is the number 2 team in the nation. So you know, there's just in the SEC. We've talked about it. There's just so much. Every night is a test. But anyway, you have the slip up against Florida, but it's clear they're the best team in college basketball. They have the best resume. Wins over Iowa State. Wins over pretty much everyone in the SEC except for Florida. And now that big win over Bama on Saturday, like on the road, mind you. This team is the best team in college basketball. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. A lot of it without Janai Broom against Alabama. He was clearly not 100%. Didn't matter. And then Duke, I mean, Duke's been very steady. We talked a little bit about the ACC, and it's really tough to pick another team in the SEC because I think there are 3 or 4 different teams you can argue is the second best team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Florida, Bama, Tennessee, like maybe you want to throw like maybe you want to like Texas A&M, like they're top 10 right now. Like so I think you got to be at the top of your conference to fit into this top dog. And for me, as you said, that's Duke and that's Auburn. You know, the Big 12, Iowa State has slipped up a little bit. I do think, you know, when they've recently getting healthy, Momcilovic is back now. I do think when they're at their best, they are the best team in the Big 12. But like them in Houston, of course, that's a big. And I think they play on Saturday.
They play Saturday. That's college game day, I believe,
in Houston. So you know, Texas Tech in there as well. But all of that is to say, the 2 clear top dogs in their conference are Auburn and Duke, and then some people find it out in the Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Big 10, if you look at the rankings, you'd say they're pretty good conference. 11's Wisconsin, 12 Michigan, Purdue, 13 Michigan State, 14. But usually there's like that one just like dominant team. I mean, Purdue has been in the last couple of years, Michigan State, but it really is a murky and muddy waters right now. Wisconsin's playing really well. Michigan has that duo of 2 7-footers, one playing point guard. It seems like Michigan State has kind of been hanging around, but doesn't really have the I don't even know, like the matchups you need to have a higher seed. Like their strength of schedule has been pretty weak.
Have the resume.
The resume. Thank you. I mean, the Big 12 is kind of down this year. It's very clear who the best conference is this year.
I mean literally
unreal.
The top 10 is the SEC with 2 Big 12 and 1 ACC sprinkled in.
It's insane. But yeah, I think Duke and Auburn a slight edge because just of who they are playing, but I mean, there, like I said, this college basketball season has been some of the funnest. We've had a lot of headlines. I mean, um, the kind of up and down season. Well, let's take it back to last year. Final, the champion, UConn, kicks off the season. Kind of has a rough go. Obviously,
four straight three.
I think it was
Might have been four. Might have been four.
They go down to Maui. Maui had a great field this year. They lose 3 straight. Dan Hurley, who was once one of the most beloved coaches in college basketball, is now this sport's biggest villain, especially after his antics last year, saying he has two rings, Baldy, to a Creighton fan. So that's where UConn is at. NC State is garbage, unfortunately. Who else was in the Final Four last year?
It was Bama.
Bama, they are super fun.
It's funny.
Nothing has really changed. They kind of brought back the Mark Sears being one of those guys, just all gas, no defense, and it's bit them in the butt, but it's also propelled them the way they are.
They are. I think we might get to this later. They are without a doubt my number one most fun team
in
college basketball.
Absolutely,
they the ball like no other. They dipped into the portal. They got Cliff Amore from Rutgers. He's their center now. I mean, he's an athletic freak, absolute beast on the boards, super raw, athletic talent. Like, yeah, they're fun. They get up and down the floor. They score a ton. Number one in the country in scoring, and they're obviously very good.
Yeah, it's
and then Purdue was the other team in the Final Four.
Yeah, and they lost Zach Edey, but they're still here. So, yeah,
they lost Mason Gillis to Duke.
But a lot of fun. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it on the head. I wanted to bring that up. Fun team. Alabama, if you like points, so you like little defense, that is your team for sure. Another team that's kind of hopped out of the blue, kind of had a down couple years. They hired a massive coach in the offseason, Rick Pitino at St. John's.
Son of
absolutely incredible season. You pulled it up, so go ahead, Tanner. Talk to me about the Red Storm of St. John's and what Rick Pitino has done this season.
You beat me to the punch by 10 seconds. But yeah, no, I was just going to talk about St. John's as one of the more fun teams because they have a pretty impressive resume. Obviously, the Big East we know it's not quite the SEC, but it's a damn good conference. And just within the past couple weeks, they've got a ranked win against Creighton. They've got a ranked win at UConn. They got a ranked win against Marquette. They did falter a little bit, lost to Villanova. But I think they're pretty clearly the best team in the Big East. And that's a Big East that with all those teams I just mentioned, Marquette, UConn, like a deep conference. I don't think anyone really thought St. John's was going to be the top dog in that conference.
Yeah.
It's someone that obviously a team we hadn't talked about, a team that nationally I don't think is getting talked about, which is weird because of Big East team in New York with Rick Pitino as their head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they would get the headlines. They're not for some reason, but they're fun. They are very fun. Anytime Rick Pitino is leading, like obviously St. John's is not a blue blood, but there's something to St. John's basketball at the Garden with Rick Pitino coaching them, and that's just fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Another fun team. If you like that Cinderella story, the story of the underdog, let's stay right in the Des Moines area. The Drake Bulldogs are extremely fun this year. They lost their coach, DeVries, to West Virginia. He dipped, and they just picked up where they left off, Tanner. They are sitting very good in the Missouri Valley with a record of 23-3. They have a new head coach coming from Northwest Missouri State, which is a D2 school. I mean, Drake is one of those teams you have to think in the back of your head they could make a deep run this year. So that's another team that's just been super fun to watch. Obviously, with the close ties to where we're located, we gotta show some love to them. But any other teams you kind of want to talk about, highlight? I mean, we'll dive it deeper into some NBA prospects, just what they've been doing this year. But anybody else?
Yeah, it's funny enough you mentioned them because Sam, I think this is a team that they've kind of shown throughout the year. They can beat some good teams. However, they can absolutely lose to anybody as well. And that is a perfect segue. West Virginia.
Yeah.
They've beaten Iowa State already this year. They've been flirting in and out of the top 25. We know what DeVries can do as a scorer. But after that Iowa State loss, they went ahead and lost to Arizona State, Kansas State, and Houston all in a row. So, they can beat some good teams, but they can absolutely lose to anybody at any given point. I mean, it's certainly not the best team in the Big 12, not a team that should be on your radar as a team that can go deep, but they have some talent. They can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of NBA prospects, if you're one of those people that give a less of a shit about college basketball, but want to know the big prospects, which is crazy.
Again,
I highly doubt you're listening to
you.
this if that's you. But obviously, the number one certified overall pick, Cooper Flagg, has just been unbelievable this year, has lived up to the immense height of his recruitment, coming in early as a 17-year-old from Montverde. He is a lock at number one. They also have go ahead.
Which, by the way, the first white American drafted number one.
Oh, yeah.
70s or something?
Probably.
White boy summer.
White boy summer. But he also has another lottery pick right next to him in Common Mulak. He is an absolute lockdown defender. Rutgers somehow managed to pull two probably lottery picks in Ace Bailey and is it Dylan Harper Jr.? One of the Harpers. They are absolutely killing it. It hasn't really translated too much team success, but they are by far the best players on that court.
Two lottery picks, playing well. Look, Rutgers is probably top 3 in most disappointing teams this year.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but yes, those two definitely will be lottery picks.
And then another one, VJ Edgecombe of Baylor, struggled to start up this year, but starting to pick it up as of late. Super freak athlete. Expect him to be another lottery pick. But Tanner, some guys that really haven't panned out. Let's talk some transfers, Tanner. As we know in this day and age, a lot of transfers, especially in college basketball, because I don't know about you, but I feel like the college basketball transfers have like a way more effect because you only have 5 guys on the floor. Some of the notable ones, John L. Davis to Arkansas.
That off to a rough start.
Off to a rough start. Has kind of gotten it going, if you want to say that, as of late. But going from the stud on the Cinderella team for a couple years to averaging 10, 3, and 1, shooting 37%. Not great by any means.
I believe the last time we talked about Arkansas, they did not have an SEC win, and now they have 4.
Yeah, so. There you go. What a start!
Got to give it up for a turnaround right there.
So last year at FAU, he averaged 18 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds. Not doing that at Arkansas. You expect that to kind of happen, going from FAU schedule to Arkansas schedule, but being the number 1 recruit, you expect a little more. Omar Ballo
Oh
transferred
boy, yeah. Indiana.
Arizona to Indiana. Talk to me about him, man. It has not been pretty for him.
No, it has not. He has had a rough stretch. Obviously, Indiana, another disappointing team. They came into Iowa. Actually, went to that game. We got absolutely boat raced by a team that's. But yeah, he's just been lazy.
Yeah,
Almost like
if he like tries, he's like one of the best players.
he's
But the
so
mid,
physically gifted, and yeah, he's lazy. He just doesn't try, and I think Indiana fan base is fed up with just about everything with Indiana basketball, like Woodson, and obviously their prized transfer, Omar Ballo, just not playing well at all. I don't know if you have the numbers, but
he's averaging 13 and 9. So, but
right.
like
Yeah, I mean
that's
fine.
not awful.
That's
But when you're
fine.
the star of the team, or like not necessarily but the center of your team,
Right. Like
you expect to in a not so great conference.
I was gonna say, a 13-9 when you're the big transfer to Indiana is not the same as a 13-9 playing with Caleb Love at Arizona.
Yeah,
They're just not the same. You know, playing for a top 25 team with a team that has championship aspirations with good players, and then yeah, go to Indiana. You're the big guy. You're the prize transfer. On a team that stinks in a conference that stinks. They're just not the same.
yeah, absolutely. Another one that's kind of remained the same. Coleman Hawkins transferred from
Yeah.
Illinois to K State. K State has sucked on the road majority of this year, but he's kind of playing well. Tucker DeVries, we kind of mentioned him, but Jeremy Roach, I haven't heard much from him from Baylor. Vladislav Golden,
Yeah.
another FAU transfer. He's kind of balling at Michigan.
Solid Dusty man.
Um, but perhaps the worst transfer went from Wisconsin to KU. AJ Store Tanner.
Tough.
Let's just say the grass ain't always
No, it
greener
ain't.
on the other side, man. He was like the guy in the Big Ten when he was at Wisconsin, absolute stud. And now he's barely getting any minutes. 6.3 points, 2 rebounds on a season. But I think that's just the look of the NIL era of college basketball. If you want bag chase, like I respect it, get your money. But you're telling me he couldn't have made that money at Wisconsin. You're crazy. But yeah, talk to me about like your opinions on either one of these guys or the even just like the NIL era of college basketball, man.
Yeah, because I think you nailed with the first thing you said, where it's like, yeah, you can go and get a right guard in the portal. Obviously, the quarterback is the main thing when you're talking with college football, and that can really sway a team. But in college basketball in general, any sort of free agent in the pros or portal acquisition in college you make is just going to have that much more of effect. I mean, it's 20% of the floor. And I think people they need to be smart with their like bag chasing is always I get it, but like something like the Caleb Love move to Arizona, it's like okay, like is that really an upgrade from UNC? Like
Yeah.
you know, and Omar Ballo from Arizona to Indiana, I just don't get that at all. Even when it was
Yeah.
announced, like sure you get your money. I guess they were preseason top 25. They're just bad and he's not
Yeah.
playing well and everything's going south there. Like I don't really know if Indiana's were they really like a center away? Was that your best use of resources to
Hmm.
go out and get Omar Ballo? Like I don't think so. So I think there's a lot of misstep in the definitely in the transfer portal
Yeah.
game. Anytime you go and follow your coach, I think it's a little different. Like Golden,
Yeah.
Golden to Michigan. Obviously, he's playing great, comfortable. with Dusty May, like very comfortable in that system. They know each other so well. Of course, it's going to work. And something like Tucker DeVries, like he's playing for his dad, transferred
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think that specifically in basketball, because everyone's just so quick to move, and it's like you don't know the system, you don't know the coach, you don't know how it's going to fit, and obviously, not a lot of people are. There are a lot of people who aren't fitting. Who aren't fitting as well as they once thought. But I got another one, Sam, I do want to bring up because he is having an incredible year this year. And he's a transfer that pretty much no one talks about. Playing for Wisconsin, who is number 11. We just talked about Store transferred out of Wisconsin. John Tonje.
Yeah.
Who is this year, he's averaging 19.2 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 48% shooting. He's been an absolute godsend for Wisconsin, a team that is, again, number 11, coming off of a win at Purdue. He's been as good as they could have hoped. And he was before Wisconsin, he was at Colorado State. And
Yeah.
it's just an absolutely great find. No one talked about him. Colorado State guy. I didn't even know who he was. Shows up, averaging 19 a game.
Yeah.
The number 11 team in the nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
There will always be those diamonds in the rough that need to be found, and then there'll always be those shiny new toys that don't pan out. And just how you can be smart about the portal is pretty much what's going to define this era of college basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. We kind of mentioned Rick Pitino and the success he has had at St. John's. Two of the bigger names that got moved around. John Calipari, now at Arkansas. Mark, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
The Kentucky
Mark coach. Pope. Mark Pope is at Kentucky. Things aren't going as people predicted. Arkansas is towards the bottom of the very competitive SEC. 15-10 for Arkansas this year, 4-8 in conference. Kentucky 6-6 in conference, 17-8. Yet John Calipari walked into Rupp Arena, got a huge win. But Arkansas has been one of the, I'd say, in just the national scale of things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to look at this team and think they should be top 5 in the SEC. I mean, they got Jonell Davis, one of the biggest transfers. They brought in a bunch of dudes from Kentucky, followed their coach, Adu Taro. Excuse me, DJ Wagner, Kareem Watkins, Ivicic. I mean, all these guys followed him. Add a couple 5-star recruits in Carter Knox, Boogie Flan. I mean, you just, not that Coach Cal is the Coach Cal of past where he's just consistently Elite 8, Final 4. Arkansas has been a very disappointing season. And then on the other side of things, Mark Pope literally reconstructed the Kentucky way in a matter of minutes, getting old vets, the 5th and 6th year senior grad transfers, and they've been hooping this year. They were kind of competing for the top spot early on in the SEC. Kind of has had some slides as of late. Lost Saturday to Texas, kind of a bad loss, but still remaining competitive. Just up and down year across the board. But talk to me about this, man. Just a lot of people weren't expecting. If you're a Kentucky fan or an Arkansas fan, how are you looking at this season?
Well, I mean, I think if the easier side of this is Kentucky, because I think if you would have told a Kentucky fan after they hired Mark Pope, I don't think general consensus was in love with the hire.
Yeah.
And if you said like objectively, it's what we're in February. You're having a better year than Arkansas. You're a better team than Arkansas. They would have been like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
this is, so I don't think there's any reason to waver on Mark Pope at the moment. I think he's exceeded expectations. Maybe because all of us set the expectations too low. That's very possible.
Yeah.
And we didn't give him enough credit. But in general, I think you have every reason to be encouraged. And plus, it means something that he went to Kentucky and won a national championship in Kentucky. Obviously, most coaches will do everything they can to make their teams good, but it just means that much more when they're a grad of that school. And few people love their school more than Mark Pope loves Kentucky. Now on the Arkansas side of things, it's frustrating. I think you're definitely disappointed with the year. I certainly don't think there should be any sort of panic button or giving up on Cal. But it kind of felt like they obviously they should have been good, but it kind of felt like almost Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Where they just built it like, you're a star, you're a star, you're a star, you're a star. And they just like, all right, we got the star-studded team. Like, let's play with the coach. And obviously, playing in the SEC this year doesn't help. And obviously, many things can be true. The SEC is awesome, and Arkansas has one of the harder schedules in the league. But they've been very disappointing. And I think no reason to give up, but I think Cal needs to, and I hope he knows that, okay, this dipping into the portal and just grabbing everything I can.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I need to sit down, think about this roster, look at who I have, and make moves based on fit, not based on just acquiring the most talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nailed that on the head. But anything else you want to talk about on the kind of national scale of college basketball? And then I want to dive a little deep into one particular team.
Yeah, sure. So really quick, I brought up the preseason portal rankings.
Yeah.
The top 3 teams. Let's see if you can guess them. Number 1,
Arkansas.
Talked about at length. One of the most disappointing teams in college basketball this year. Number 2,
Indiana.
One of the most disappointing teams in college basketball this season. Number 3. This team hasn't been as disappointing or as bad as the other two. I would say their season has been disappointing. They're definitely better than the previous 2 teams, but there's one guy in particular who's been disappointing for this team.
K-State?
You're so close.
Kansas,
obviously preseason number 1.
Yeah.
Second year in a row, not playing well. And that AJ Storr is the guy who we talked about has been a major disappointment. So, don't always believe what people write because they might just be flat out wrong.
Yeah. But like I said, it's been an incredible college basketball season. We're down to the grace, getting closer and closer to the greatest time of year for all the YouTube TV fans that panicked a little bit on this past weekend. That was me. They reached a short-term agreement, so we should have CBS for March Madness. So honestly, that's the only time I watch CBS. A little college football here and there, depending on what game.
On there too.
NFL, yeah. Okay, there is quite a bit on there, but it's right around the corner. But Tanner, we got to talk about them. The Iowa Hawkeyes, Tanner. It's been a rough year for the Hawkeyes. I believe they're still on the outside looking in for not only the national tournament, but just the Big Ten tournament, Tanner. Talk to me about their season. And just talk to me about it, man.
Yeah, first off, you talk about the national tournament, the NCAA tournament. Not only on the outside looking in, they are in a casket, embalmed, 6 feet under, maybe even cremated in terms of that tournament. But it's tough. And look, I don't think no one there's not a ton of love for Fran McCaffrey sitting on this. Um, it's been dealt a tough hand, injury to Owen Freeman.
Yeah.
Whether he's gonna be a Hawkeye after this,
No.
that's still to be seen. The consensus is no. I tend to agree with the consensus, and obviously so does Sam. But so yeah, like Owen Freeman, losing him to an injury, that's tough. Early in the season, Sidu Traore, one of their portal acquisitions from Manhattan, came in. He gave good minutes. He got hurt, didn't play a few games. Then I think pretty comfortably, I'd say there are two big bright spots this year for Iowa, and that's been Josh Dix.
Yeah.
It was my number one bright spot. My number two was Drew Thelwell, another portal pickup from Murray State. And he, like I said, he's been a bright spot. He took over the starting job from Brock Harding, who was like supposed to be our next
Morehead State, not Murray State.
Morehead State. That's on me.
All good.
That's on me. But yeah, from Morehead State. And yeah, he was supposed to be like Brock Harding was supposed to be our next point guard to play, and Thelwell took it from him like that because that's how well he was playing. He got hurt the other game. He's been out. So it's been a tough injury luck season. But yeah, it's the vibes are at an all-time low under the Fran McCaffrey era, given the few-year buffer after he took over.
Yeah.
Obviously there's levels to this because we were coming off of the Licklider era, which was obviously absolutely horrendous. But it doesn't really have much going for it. Like the games are empty and lifeless. Their team is obviously bad. They're not in the conference tournament right now. There's not much juice. Like,
and like the thing that's the most disappointing is obviously the lack of support from the fans is obviously disappointing, but you've had, I would say, two of the greatest Hawkeye basketball players in the past. When was Luka there? Was he there? Did he leave our June?
I mean, he was
in our
he was in our grade.
So I think he left. Did he go all 4 years?
Yeah. So yeah, he was there all 4 years because he left because he had the fifth year, but he was like, no, I gotta go. Because I remember the loss to Oregon was our senior year.
Yep. And then Keegan Murray, of course, being the other one. But it is very bleak. Chad Listkow tweeted out, under Fran McCaffrey, Iowa has 11 upper half Big Ten finishes in the past 12 years. He's done more with less, including one of the Big Ten's lowest payroll rosters, but a recent Big Ten home game was 19% full.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It is one of the more obvious cases of just a self-sustaining cycle. I don't know what tripped it, but the team is bad, so attendance is low. The university doesn't invest in the program. The team is bad. Bad. Attendance is low, and it's that circle that just keeps on going. Like it, obviously Iowa isn't, going to pull in Alabama, Arkansas, all, type of NIL money, all these huge schools, Ohio State. They're not going to pull in so they have to be smart with where they spend it. And obviously, if you were the Swarm Collective, why would you give any money to that program right now? You're going to give it to your best programs, which will, be football, wrestling, and women's basketball. And look, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. And it's a tough spot to be because it all goes back to the head coach. And that statement you just read speaks volumes. Like, he has done more with less. But, like, But what's more, like he's never made a Sweet 16, and like his teams continuously don't show up
Yeah, when
when
it
when
matters.
it matters. But also, the program doesn't have much investment from the school, and they've had. I mean, I remember we won a Big Ten tournament championship 3 years ago at this
Yeah,
point. Like,
that was. Yeah.
and like that, we were the hottest team to like. I remember we were a 5 seed. Like two of the four people on CBS on Selection Sunday, had us in the Final Four
Yeah.
because like this team, this team can score. This team's red hot, and we immediately get upset. Like it's the most confusing scenario, and I truthfully don't envy Beth Getz in making that decision because like the Fran McCaffrey has done he's unequivocally done a good job with what he's been given, but it's just not enough,
Yeah.
you know. And that actually brings us to a question. We had this one, this one from my mom, Carrie Dislin. She wants to know, Sam. She wants to know, does Fran have a path forward with I, or is it time or past time for a new coach?
Yeah. This one is interesting, especially from what I've seen on X today. Have you seen these tweets about Beth?
What's going on?
Supposedly, no, there hasn't been like a David Eichel, Chad Listcow, anything like that. But supposedly, she has been reaching out to Darian DeVries at
Wow.
West Virginia.
Okay.
So I think last year was the perfect time to do it. DeVries was out at Drake. It was time for him to move on to a better school. I think that's when we should have gotten DeVries.
Agreed.
I think that was a big missed opportunity. Um, so to answer her question, I think it is past. I think after the success we've seen with Keegan and Luca and those teams, and to see where it has become, and the fact he's not bringing in and developing these guys. I mean, personally, I get. I don't think Peyton Samford has gotten that much like solid improvement, but it's not like he's it's hard to explain my feelings about him, but I feel like we haven't seen the development of players we've seen in the past with guys like Luca, guys like Wieskamp. I think Keegan and Chris Murray even you can throw in there. It's just I think it was time to let go. Last year, I'd love to get DeVries. I don't. The only thing I think is the reason he'd leave is because he sees Iowa as home. But it's a interesting. I do think it's time to move on from Fran. I mean, even in just watching him on the sidelines, he's like not as animated anymore. It seems like he almost wants out. And yeah, it's just a very interesting debacle we have with men's basketball at Iowa.
Yeah, again, with everything I've just said, like it's true. Van McCaffrey has done a lot for this program and a lot with little. He's done that, and I appreciate that. And I almost wish he would just see the writing on the wall and just go on his own terms, be with his sons, in Indiana, go out there, be an assistant coach with your son at Butler under Thad Matta. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't love I don't. He's just been so. He's been Iowa basketball for so long. Whether that's a good thing or a
Yeah.
bad thing, I'll let you decide. But it just sucks to see him like get canned and for them to go behind, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, I totally agree. Last year felt like the perfect time to split with his sons transferring out after last year. And another thing you're talking about with DeVries, it's a much easier sell from Drake to Iowa than it is West Virginia to Iowa.
Yeah.
And you also would have gotten a year of Tucker DeVries, who would be the best player on our roster.
Mm-hmm.
So felt like last year was really the time to do it. It would be awesome if he came here, but at the very least, a coaching change, I think immediately injects a huge vial of life into the program.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the main things I talk about the self-sustaining circle, why people don't go, yeah, the team's bad, but it's also been the same team for 15 years now, 10 years now. I guess 15 might be big. 10 years now, however long Fran's been here. And a new coach and a promising coach who did great things at Drake. I guess it doesn't have to be DeVries, but get a new coach in here. I think you'll just see some even if the team's bad, the thing won't be like, oh, it's Fran being Fran. It's basketball. It'll be give him time. Give him time. Let him get his guys. And then if that doesn't work, then obviously we can keep playing the coaching cycle as many schools do. But still, it's just life just injected into the program. Kind of the same thing like in the NFL when your team sucks, but you get the new quarterback.
Yeah.
Like you just immediately start caring like that much more because a loss, but he plays well, or like losses mean different things. When you have a new coach or a new quarterback, that type of thing. So, I do think it's past. I do think it's past due. But last year was really the first year where I was like dead set. Okay, we need to move on. Like I've always kind of wanted him gone. I understand. I may have felt victim of the grass is always greener, but last year was like, okay, this is heading for divorce. Like, there's no way this can keep going. So,
absolutely.
I think I would love DeVries. It would be awesome if he decided to come home.
Yeah.
But
any last thoughts on college basketball, Iowa basketball as a whole?
I just think as we mentioned, I think in order to pry away a head coach, maybe you promise him a pie of the NIL.
Yeah.
And then that investment starts to come up, and maybe that self-sustaining circle goes the other way. Team's good, fans come, they start investing more, get better players, and then we're on the up and up. But who knows, man? It's tough. Just another lost season for Iowa basketball, which sucks. And especially when you look at the other side, and the other side of the state is basketball is their sport. They've fully invested in basketball. They've got their guy at head coach, which obviously Iowa can't say, considering 3/4 of the fan base wants him fired.
Yeah.
And they got their guy, and they did a great job in the portal, and they've done a great job with recruiting. They've been top 10 all year.
Yeah.
And so when you have that happening on the other side of the state, and then with Iowa, they refuse to invest, and the team just is bad. It's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is going to wrap it up for episode 157. A little bit of a shorter episode, but we packed a lot in. We talked about the NBA All-Star Weekend, talked about the four nation tournament in NHL and how it has overshadowed the NBA. The mishaps of Illinois' facilities, and of course, caught y'all up on some college basketball. But you can follow the podcast at crunchtime_pod on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also like and subscribe on YouTube, Crunch Time with the N326 Duo. But the clock has run out on this one, but we'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.
See you.